remember those who's inviting me down there on such short notice. Even if I wanted to go, my schedule wouldn't allow it.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Good evening and welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman. I'm joined tonight by David Korb, Bob Quinn, and Dave Ribeiro. We are here tonight to talk about the tragic and unfortunate loss to the Baltimore Ravens during the Saturday game. That was two painful losses in a row, but also because the Steelers play again on Christmas Day, compliments of the NFL. They have the Chiefs. We'll be doing kind of a hybrid episode today where we talk about what went wrong with the Ravens and then what we can do to kind of fix that going forward into the Chiefs game to hopefully pull out a win. So, guys, what was your one or two word summation of what went on with the Ravens game, Bob?
One or two words.
A few words. I know you can't do one or two.
Terrible, awful. Unfortunately, not unexpected.
Yeah, I think for me, it's concerning. The defense, some of the stuff that went on. It's 2-game losing streak. Concerning is the best word I can come up with.
To me, they just succumbed to injuries. Just too much for them to overcome. That's the way I look at it.
Do you feel like if we'd had at least some of those players, like who do you feel like was missed the most? Is that like still just the straight Pickens thing, or was it all those defensive players? Or
Deshaun Elliott. I've been feeling this way all week. That no Deshaun Elliott was just that is killing that defense. Him and Minka hide so many warts with that secondary, and him not being there. Don't get me wrong, George Pickens is like not having him is really bad. But when it comes to the defense, Deshaun Elliott for that secondary is, we'll call him the key to it being successful. If you don't have Deshaun Elliott, they're gonna get cooked, and that's what happened. And that's just they got to have that guy out there, or they're in trouble.
Yeah. What do you think, Bob, was like the key to the loss? What do you think like really went wrong? Or do you think it was a combination of a lot of factors?
Look, the injuries, David brings up a good point. Honestly, I kind of wish we would have not played TJ. But, the defense got smashed in the run game. But I was kind of made this point in chat earlier. They kind of owed us one. And they gave it to us. And if your Otis one was against basically our fourth string secondary, our basically the run defense played about as bad as I could think it is. Okay, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson got over on us. I'd rather have them get over on us in December than I would in January. And I think there's a good chance we may see them again down the road. And look, we're being disingenuous if we don't say the game, Russell Wilson, one was he was trying too hard and one was a bad throw. He didn't play a great game yesterday. That doesn't mean, and I've seen it all over social media, hey, get rid of, Russell Wilson. We should have kept Justin Fields. I even saw Kenny Pickett slander out there.
There was a lot of that similar.
Yeah. I was like, okay, he had a bad game. And then I thought, well, we used to not blame Ben for a loss, and now everybody's blaming Russell. It was Russell's fault. When it was Ben's fault, we blamed him. I mean, it doesn't mean I want to get rid of Russell Wilson all of a sudden, but let's face it. The fumble was bad. The interception was worse.
Yeah, I'm not buying the injury thing. Sure, they had a lot of injuries going into it, but the secondary isn't the cause for Derrick Henry going off for 180 yards. And they played poorly. There's no way around it, whether they had those guys or not. And I get it that they were really limited in the secondary, and missing Elliott, to Dave's point, is huge. He is a big part of the run defense, but yeah, they just laid an egg. And the Ravens were missing wide receivers, so does that cancel out the secondary? Maybe not totally. And George Pickens missing. We all know that's bad, but they were in position to win. If Justin Fields, Russell Wilson doesn't throw that pick six, just like the week before, right in the middle of this game, and things can happen. So I don't want to blame this too much on injuries. Everyone has injuries. I know the secondary was ravaged, but this is the backup secondary they felt comfortable with going in. They were comfortable with Trice.
They have enough depth on this defense to be able to able to hold it down to some degree. I agree. I think it's a big impact. Dave, what did you think about all of the backlash towards Russ on social media? I mean, it was big. It felt, I don't know. My reaction was like, yeah, that was a crappy fumble, but the guy has heart. He's trying to make something happen here. And should he have slid? Sure. You know what I mean? But I'd rather woe than stick him, or whatever Tomlin would say. How did you feel about the backlash Wilson received?
Look, I think these people are stupid. Look, honestly, I don't want to be mean, but like seriously, the guy still had a 92.6 passer rating. When he talked about it after game, he took responsibility for it, but he said, no, I saw that end zone and I was going for it. That is a great mentality to have. Think about last year, Mitch Trubisky taking a knee when the end zone was right in front of him. You guys remember that play?
Yes.
How about Pickett crumbling at the 1 yard line because he's made of brittle and he got injured 5 times. Hey, Zach, there you are. So I just to shit on him like they did, and to promote Kenny Pickett like he had some great game the other day for the Eagles when he had like a 70 passer rating, only threw for like 125 yards. Not even the same stratosphere as Russell Wilson. It's just so stupid. But we can focus on the bad with Russell Wilson. It was a horrible pick 6. Yes, he should have slid to 3.
Bad.
It was bad. Now, was he getting pressured and he tried to force something? Yes. Which really is what we should also talk about too, when we're going to get that probably. But like, let's not forget the pass to Skronik a couple times were nice throws. The pass to Austin on the sideline was a nice throw. The touch pass to CPAT for the touchdown. Like, he did a lot of good this game too. Yes, catastrophic mistakes by him, but at the same time, he's also the reason why for the portion of the game, if he doesn't fumble that ball, they're about to tie that game. He had a good game. It's just that those 2 turnovers were catastrophic for them. But let's not forget, the fumble at the 3 sucks, but the defense letting them drive down the field 97 fucking yards.
That's it.
That's what really hurt us.
That's what really is. But this is the same group of fans that screamed and yelled at Fields for sliding too soon. Do you know what I mean? Right. So you're too cautious and you get roasted by the fan base. You try to make something happen and you get roasted by the fan base. I mean, there's no winning with Steelers fans. Zach, you're just joining us. We're glad you're here. What did you think about the backlash Russ took on social media?
That's specifically why I did what I did. I'd like to thank my Aunt Sandra for giving me this strategy, because if the Steelers lose, she forgets football exists for a week. She literally doesn't read anything. She just erased it from her mind. I literally had to do that for about 4 to 5 hours. I turned the show House on, and I forgot about football for about 4 to 5 hours, and I came back because I knew anything I said in that moment, any reaction I had, I was probably going to either regret later or wish I had reworded, and I didn't want to do that because I saw a lot of it. So there's a lot to break down in this game, but I wish he would have slid, but that's the least of our worries when it comes to what we're. So I'm glad I did what I did because I didn't have the reaction.
He made a great play to put him in a position to score, and he did. I mean, without the fumble, we'd be all applauding him today. Do you agree that he's the least of the worries on the team, Bob?
I wouldn't say least. Chris Boswell, I would say, is least. A lot of people kind of killed Boswell too for he kicked it out of bounds. It was a 10-yard penalty. It was a 10-yard penalty. If he kicks it out of the end zone like he did every other time, they get it on the 30. They got it on the 40. It used to be that was a big penalty because it was a 20-yard penalty. But nowadays, you almost wonder why the NFL hasn't changed that. Look, Russell is not, the problem. You're playing with backup guys. I thought they actually moved the ball pretty well. And honestly, I think if he doesn't fumble the ball and they score there, that the Ravens go into a funk and just, what can we do? We can't beat these guys. And they figure out a way. I also thought that Skronik missing most of the first half after an injury was a problem because it seemed like they were going to feature him, which somebody may have predicted. But I no, the health is the most important thing. I've been listening to the PM team 93.7 and Starkey all day. They're kind of railing on it that, hey, we'd rather be healthy in the playoffs than win the division. I would rather do both. But there was a lot of talk about, was this the right move to play, force TJ out there, sit Pickens. If Pickens can play on Christmas Day, why couldn't he play against the Ravens? Or if he can't play against the Ravens, don't play him on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of risking Pickens. Let's talk a little bit about the offensive line in this game. We gave them a pretty hard time after that Eagles game. What did you see, Dave? Did you think the offensive line looked better against the Ravens, worse, like it did against the Eagles? What were you seeing from them?
It wasn't as bad as the Eagles game. Their front's not as good as the Eagles, so you would expect a little bit. I mean, this is what they are. They're average at best. You're not going to see, you're not going to see Russell Wilson standing back there for 10, 15 seconds. It's just not going to happen. They gave up a couple sacks. I think Russ holds the ball too long sometimes too, so it's a little bit on him sometimes. But the running game was a little better. I thought there was some holes. Maybe that's because they used Jalen Moore a little more. I thought the offensive line was okay overall.
Definite reduction in the amount of snaps Najee's gotten in the past 2 games, down to his fewest of all. I think it was 17 and 12, if I remember correctly from what Kabali tweeted. That's the lowest totals he's had. So
Tomlin said it was a flow thing.
Yeah, he always
necessarily.
I mean, what was the other one with Pickens, right? Where load management or whatever.
Load management.
Till he was back in your good graces, and then all of a sudden he's playing 80% of the snaps or something ridiculous. So, do you think that this offensive line is a line that is good enough to improve? Do you think that this is an evolving offensive line that will get better? Like Kabali said today that he thinks that Russell Wilson will stay because this team is evolving so much. They've got these defensive pieces that are going to stay. This offensive line is just going to continue to get better, and therefore the only thing they're missing is maybe a playmaker on offense and a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I think they can improve. They're all young. They should improve. I mean, you're starting 2 rookies and a second-year tackle, and you get another tackle back next year. I think that's in the future, though. For the rest of this season, this struggle is gonna continue. They're gonna have ups and downs, and they're definitely not gonna be the strength of the team anytime soon.
Yeah, I would agree. First of all, I saw a lot of, hey, why did we draft Mason McCormick? Look, he's a rookie guard. He's a very good run blocker. He's learning in pass protection. And we kind of knew this all along. And once the injuries happened early in the season, it became patchwork. So McCormick wasn't really supposed to play. It was supposed to be James Daniels, and maybe he overtakes him as the year goes on. But we lost James Daniels. It was supposed to be Broderick, according to Omar Khan and Fatanu. Well, they kept Dan Moore at left tackle and moved Broderick to right because Fatanu got hurt. So it's patchwork. Are they better now than they were at the beginning of the season? Yes. And I think for the way they're blocking right now from a run perspective, I think Jalen is the right recipe going forward as the lead back because he bursts and hits the hole. And they seem to want to run these off-tackle runs. Jalen can hit the corner before Najee can. If they were running between the guards, I'd say give it to Najee. But, I mean, at this point, if they're going to insist on toss, if they're going to insist on outside runs, the right guy is Jalen. What the hell CPAT was doing on the field, I have no idea, but I'm glad he caught a touchdown.
What did you guys think, Zach? What did you think about the use of the wide receiving group and the running backs in this game?
The exact same problem we've seen the entire time. Good play calls that I saw with the wrong personnel. And we cannot seem to sustain momentum. We have a couple of good play calls in a row, and then either a penalty does it or a bad play call does it, or we get to 3rd and 2 and we do a long pass. it was incredibly frustrating. I don't know how David feels about that, but I was very frustrated by the usage of players throughout this game.
First half, I was happy with Arthur Smith. They finally started using Warren early in the game. And here's the thing, too. Warren actually had, almost 100 total yards, counting his reception yards. I think he had 44 reception yards as well. And they did move the ball really well with him out there. Najee, actually, with less carries, was more effective. He averaged 4.7 yards per carry, which is good for Najee, to be honest. So it seemed like Najee being a little more rested actually bode well for him. But Warren, they needed to use Warren more. He's a playmaker. And the receiving game, too. And they did. And it could have worked if not for the turnovers. I genuinely believe that. But really, Calvin Austin, if we're talking about receivers as well, how impressive has Calvin Austin been lately? 66 yards on 5 receptions, making great catches. This kid's really impressing the hell out of me now. And
see his confidence growing too.
Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. He's and Russell Wilson believes in this kid. He trusts him. He goes to him when he thinks that he can catch the ball, and he's made a lot of contested catches. To me, this kid's proven he is a solid number 3 wide receiver. So I was happy with him. The CPAT touchdown, I about died laughing. I was just like, of course, CPAT gets a touchdown.
Yeah.
It just, but yeah, Muth is, well, we haven't got to the tight ends yet. That's the one that I was actually disappointed about was Muth. So I'm sure we're getting tight ends.
Well, talk to us about that. What was disappointing about the tight ends?
Oh, just again, Muth, 16 yards. Why do we continue to not get him really, really involved in this offense? I've been saying it's Jalen Warren and Muth. Those two right there, if Pickens isn't around, have got to be your main playmakers. And they did a better job of Warren, but Muth, again, is again underutilized. I mean, Mikael Pruitt got a touchdown over him. What? Who predicted that? I hope
Which was a good play call, by the way. I thought that was a really good play call.
Hate the play call. I thought that was good because they would bite on the run with us, no doubt. It's just strange that Mikael Pruitt's the one putting up points and not Freiermuth. That's my whole point in that. But yeah, they love using all their tight ends. Arthur Smith does, and it's like, dude, you've got one that's really good that probably should be a focal point in this offense without George Pickens. But
is he really good though? And do we know that for sure?
Yeah, he's good. Because
we keep waiting for the Pat Freiermuth breakout season, and we keep waiting and it still hasn't happened.
After George Pickens, dude, yeah, he's their second best wide receiver.
But has he really been put in a position
it's a low bar.
To know for sure?
Well,
yeah,
another thing is Russell Wilson doesn't like to throw down the middle that much either. And that's primarily where you want your tight end, especially running up the seam on those kind of plays. Yeah. So it could be a combination of Arthur Smith and Russell Wilson not wanting to throw the ball down the middle.
Actually, that's a good point that I'm curious about, that it affects Muth directly. I saw Arthur Smith said that a lot of the primary receiver in plays was Freiermuth in that game. He just wasn't in a position. I did not see Russell Wilson step up comfortably in that game. I'm trying to think of a time where he dropped back and then just stepped up into a pocket. The amount of times he rolled out, it seemed like unnecessarily. I don't know, was he not trusting that? But I think that's why he's not seeing Moose. Well, a lot of the streaks, a lot of the up the middle things that we're seeing, he simply didn't see it because he's not stepping up, and we don't have good edge protection. And he's rolling out and asking Broderick and Dan Moore to do more than they already can't do. I was just curious if you guys saw any other reason. I kind of haven't watched too much of the tape about why he couldn't step up. Was that an interior thing? Was it a play calling thing? Did Russell not trust it? I didn't see enough for me to be able to get an opinion on that. I just know he wasn't stepping up.
Well, I don't know that it wasn't him stepping up. I mean, there were a couple times, and frankly, there were several people who against the Ravens were running a little more open, that it seemed like Russell was hesitant to pull the trigger on. But, I don't think he looked for Muth. My other question is, we saw at the beginning of the season, a lot of Darnell Washington, at least once or twice a game. How do you lose a 6'7", 300-pound guy? Is it because he didn't jump for the ball in the end zone? Now all of a sudden he doesn't get passes anymore?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, where's Darnell? It's a good point. At this point, Connor Hayward and McCole Pruitt caught balls. Pat was very quiet, and Darnell, I don't even think he got a target. I don't understand. What are we trying to do here? It's Connor Hayward's a nice story. I get it. If he's a fullback, I'm all for him. He's the smallest tight end in 50 years. Why is he on the field as a tight end?
Because they don't know what to do with him. He's not a fullback either. He can't. He's proven that over time, and he's not a lead fullback, and that's not his fault. That's not his position. As far as Darnell goes, I think they go into games scheming him into plays, and there's some games they just don't have anything for him. They want to go elsewhere. I want to get back to Muth again. You guys are kind of tripping over yourselves, making excuses for him. He's not getting schemed the ball. Russell's not looking for him. I don't want to be that guy, but he's out of excuses now. He needs to stop making plays, get open, do whatever he's got to do. You say that he doesn't. Russell doesn't look for him. He finds the small Calvin Austin down the middle of the field fine.
But does Muth really get the opportunities to make those plays? Like, are there targets for him, and he's not making that happen, I don't know. I think Russ can see him, but does he choose not to see him? Like Bob said about Darnell Washington, you can't miss that giant fucker. You know what I mean? But yet we're not utilizing him. So Muth is taller. Is Wilson just not trusting him?
We have to at least consider that he's not getting open, and that's part of it.
Well, I think if you watch the tape, and I know Zach watches a lot of tape, I don't see that with Muth. I see that some of the route tree for him is a little weird. He seems to break to the sideline a little bit too much for me. If I got Muth, I'm either I want him either down the seam or hey, just kind of plant in the middle of the defense and sit there and sit down and be that target. I don't understand why it is, but one thing you can say about Muth is he is the best at converting a target to a catch. He in the NFL, he's got like an 89% conversion rate of targets to catches.
Vaughn brings up he thinks it's the OC. He said that Muth was targeted like 3 times.
I got it right here.
Something interesting to definitely keep an eye on.
Right. When he's made one of the primary targets in a game, like they're going to feature him. I think it was the Bengals game last year. Did he put up like a ridiculous amount because he was the main guy and he produced, but it's like he's just not the featured guy in a lot of these games. So
I have trouble understanding.
Dave, I get what you're saying, Dave. I do, because when you look at every game and you look at stuff, you're going to be like, okay, like sooner or later, it can't just be the scheming. It's got to be him. So I get what you're coming from, but I just know if they actually made an effort to feature him and, the route tree was a little better for him, then possibly he could be a big producer for this team. So, I've seen what he can do. We know he's capable of putting up 150, like no problem, like he did the Bengals last year. So it's just weird to see this guy go off like that and then nothing. Because I'm trying to remember what season it was where he was definitely a primary target, and he was like it. He was in the top. He was in the top 6 in the league in production for tight ends, Dave.
What was his rookie year?
We see that. I'm trying to remember. Was it?
But we haven't seen it since.
Was it Ben's
last year in the league?
That makes sense.
His second year, he had 60 catches too, though, with Kenny and Mitch.
I just remember looking at stats for tight ends and being like, "Whoa, Muth's ranked 6th in the league." So I know with he can do that because we've seen it already. Is he like top 3 in the league? Of course not. But I know he's capable of being a top 10 tight end and being very productive. So I have to ask, is it, since Ben, you've got what these quarterbacks have come through, and then now we get Russ, who's been way better than these other guys. So, yeah, I get your point, Dave. I really do. I think there's somewhere in the middle with this. Either he's just himself not doing enough, or they're not making him featured. 3 targets, though, sucks. If you really want to make him featured, he should be getting targeted more than 3 times.
What you just said makes me wonder if it might be Wilson. Because you have Ben, who knew exactly what to do with the tight end. You saw what he did with Heath, understands the importance of having that tight end. Ben knew how to use him. You have a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterback's best friend is a tight end. Be your security blanket. Looks to him all the time. Does Russell not know how to use a tight end correctly?
I was just about to.
Russell Wilson problem.
How many tight ends have been really good with Russell Wilson? There's something we should look at for career. How many tight ends have been good? See, Bob's saying 0. So now guess what that tells me? He's just not. He just does not. He doesn't like throwing down the middle. I think that's already been said. He doesn't like to throw down the middle.
Which is an interesting conundrum in an Arthur Smith offense where we love tight ends and everything is about the tight ends and we're going to use 17 tight ends a time and everything else. So that's an interesting dichotomy between the two.
It's almost like they've turned him into a decoy for the other tight ends to block for running the run game.
All right. Well, how about this? Mark Malone says Russ is 5'10", and all those other quarterbacks we mentioned are about 6'3" plus. Correct. Do you think that has an impact on how much we're getting the ball to
Have you seen when Mike Tomlin hugs him and kisses him on his head? Like, it looks like he's kissing a child. He's not that tall. And
he does do the pull him in like his son.
For quarterbacks, Russ is actually pretty. Did you see him stand next to Justin Fields?
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So, yeah.
Yeah, but again, my point, he has no problem finding Calvin Austin in the middle of the field, and Calvin Austin's like half move size.
Well, actually, hold on, though, because I saw Mueller today on the PM team was talking about he didn't have a huge problem with the 4th down call for the deep ball. If Russ had thrown a good ball, Austin walks into the end zone. But because he turned it into a jump ball, he allowed Hamilton to come back over and smack him. I know some people think that was pass interference. If they had called that on the Steelers as pass interference, I'd have thrown something at the TV. I don't think it was pass interference. Maybe illegal contact, but I don't even think that.
It'd be ticky-tacky to throw it, really.
Yeah.
That would have been ticky-tacky.
Richard brings up that Russ just can't stay in the pocket too long. That's why they're running out of a lot of play action. What about that? Think that's valid?
Well, the thing is, Richard, that's what we were just talking about. Sorry, Dave. Continue.
No, go ahead. It's just that the line's not as it's not a top line, so of course it's going to be a little jittery and move around, and they're going to try to move him out of the pocket because, like we said, this is a young offensive line. It's going to take time, and we're going to go through a bumpy phase here and there.
That's why the pick 6 happened. He forced it because of pressure.
Yeah. Yep. And when you go up against an elite line like the Eagles a couple weeks ago, you're going to have a bad game, and the Ravens have a pretty good defensive line, so again, it's going to be bumpy. The Steelers knew this was going to happen. I mean, like you said, James Daniels was part of the plan, so maybe this wouldn't have been as bad. But when you got 2 rookies on the inside and a right tackle playing out of position in the second year, this is all part of it.
Yeah, McCormick did not have a good game. I don't think I got to bring that up.
He hasn't had a good game in like the last 2.5 games. Yeah. The rookiness is showing, and I love McCormick. I love it.
Too.
He's been having struggles in the run game too. It's not just pass blocking. Like, I've seen him miss his assignments when blocking. So, but like you guys said, he's a rookie, so like that wall's going to come. So,
and he's not he's a late round pick too. So we got very lucky that we got what we have out of him so far. Very lucky. I genuinely feel that.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the defense before we have to move on to Kansas City. Bob, what did you see from them? I mean, we definitely got beat up a lot. I mean, it wasn't just, the passing game. It was Derek, it was the run game. What did you see from our defense? They were letting Derrick Henry pick up yard after yard.
Yeah, every time Derrick Henry ran the ball, I saw a lot of this.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
He was bursting through the line and taking off down the field. Look, I like Minka. I like that he got an interception. I thought overall the complete was pretty good, although there were a couple of times where I think he inserted himself into coverage where he shouldn't have. But Deshaun Elliott, to David's point, this makes a huge difference. Deshaun Elliott is our run-stopping safety. Not that Minka can't do it, but when Deshaun Elliott hit Henry, he went backwards or he went down. When Minka hit him, he went for a ride. Just like most of the defense went for a ride. Look, I don't have a huge problem with him snap count really wasn't there. He wasn't the big run plug stopper. There's no Ogunjobi. I thought Keanu Benton had a couple of times where it almost looked like he fell down and put himself out of position. The run defense has got to get better. I mean, we actually saw our three linebackers finally. Mark Robinson was the third linebacker, which he could stick a guy. So I'm not. I mean, I don't love the idea of Mark Robinson and Landon Robertson being on the field together in the inside of our defense, because any competent quarterback is going to go, "Oh yeah, we're throwing the." So overall, the run defense was just awful. The pass defense, based on who we had out there, wasn't awful. It wasn't good, but it wasn't awful. But the run defense really let us down.
I mean, my thing with this run defense is we've been hearing about these run fits and people not staying in their lanes. I swear since 10 years. We were talking about this when Leonard Fournette was running crazy on us in that playoff game in Jacksonville. Why is it so complicated in the Steelers defense to stay in your lane and play your position? Why is this always every year after year after year we hear, well, we gave up 150 yards because we didn't stay in our lanes. Our run fits were terrible. Tom was talking about it at the press conference. Someone explain to me why this is so goddamn complicated, because nothing else the Steelers do seems complicated to me. But somehow, some way, we cannot figure out the goddamn run fits, and you give up 180 on the ground. I'm done with this, and we can blame injuries all we want, but that front seven was pretty much intact, and they look terrible.
Mark Malone does. He misses Larry Ogunjobi. It's hard to deny.
He's not the run stopping.
Impact is felt.
Well, he's better than Loudermilk and Montrevious. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes,
I think that's fair.
It's a key injury.
Richard said he saw Cam once and they scored the play after. Fall off begins.
Let's not. It's Cam, okay? It's one game. Actually, no. Doubt him. Cam's response after everyone doubted him. Keep it up. He thrives on that, apparently.
Somebody get him a copy of Richard's comment.
Just don't do it publicly because he will respond to you on Twitter.
Did you all see that it doesn't? It seems like they won't be still playing all these backups. They still won't be playing Sutton, with other players missing this, on Christmas if they're still out.
Really?
But that was kind of
just got him.
Are you guys surprised at the lack of use of Sutton? I mean, we heard he was going to maybe we won't even see Beanie Bishop and.
Can we just cut him? Can we just be done with him?
No, you can't, because there's nobody behind him. You can't cut him because next man up is us. Right. You can't. You can't. There's nobody left.
I might be more effective than what we.
You might be, but
you certainly wouldn't beat your girlfriend.
Well, so
neither would I, for that matter.
We're bringing up that Cam struggled, and I don't feel that way at all. I feel like any D lineman,
I agree.
Every D lineman not named Cam Hayward struggled.
I agree.
Here's how I
100%.
know. Cam Hayward had 6 tackles yesterday. The rest of the D linemen, 1 or none. That's how I know all of them struggled and Cam didn't, because Cam was making tackles. That's how I know the difference. So to say Cam struggled, I mean, he made tackles. I mean, he didn't make any splash plays. So I think that's why a lot of people assumed that he struggled. When I see that the D lineman's got 6 tackles, but the other one's 1 or none, I know who was struggling and who was not. That's the way I look at it.
And if your expectation of Cam having a good game is Cam Hayward making a tackle on every single running play, you have a Madden-like expectation of what it should be. That's not realistic. So we'll adjust that.
Hayward was tied with Fitzpatrick for 3rd in tackles. Sorry, Leon, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Hayward was tied for 3rd in tackles in the team in tackles with Minka with 6.
Yeah. Patrick Queen said today to the media that you feel like at this point of the year, your defense should be picking up steam. Do you know what I mean? Headed into these final games, headed into the playoff, you should be firing on all cylinders and not falling off like they are. And I thought that was, kind of an interesting call out of his own teammates, in respect to that continuing conversation about, everybody just needs to do their job, do what they're supposed to do. I mean, that's been a reoccurring theme from the defensive leaders for the past couple of games. We've heard it from Cam and Patrick Queen himself, that everybody just has to do their part. So obviously to Dave's point, the players are obviously seeing that too. Zach, David, what did you guys think was going wrong with this defense?
I'm not. The secondary issues, I understand why. To me, the secondary kind of gets a mulligan when you're playing with 3/4 of your guys out and you're just scrambling to throw guys in. I get that. But that's a great point about the front seven. That front seven was intact, and they got manhandled. I mean, manhandled. There was linebackers couldn't shed blocks to save their life. And what really surprised me is, yes, we did get a big play out of Minka, and I've been a Minka defender this whole time. But they out-schemed Minka. They knew exactly what Minka was going to do, and he took many angles that they weren't just wrong. You could tell they intended for him to take that angle, and they just lured him. So the whole thing about Minka being able to come up, that might have worked against Saquon, but Baltimore figured it out. But that defense, I don't want to make excuses, and it's not an excuse, but at some point, I have to wonder how much this defense needs to kind of come together and admit, listen, guys, we have to shut out what the offense is doing. Because it has to be disheartening, like against the Eagles. You waste too early things. The defense has good plays against Baltimore. Minka finally gets a pick. You waste all. That has to be disheartening for a defense. And then you're on the field more, so you're tired. And maybe TJ and Cameron, they're getting flashbacks of Pickett and Canada and all that. It's just that has to play a part. So that is where the responsibility of this defense is. You have to get that out of your head. I understand it's there. I understand it's creeping up. I understand Patrick Queen is saying all. You have to just see yourself as the defense, and that is it. And that's probably one of the hardest things to ask of people, but it's what they have to do if we're going to succeed, because this offense probably is going to let you down more as the season continues.
Just to your point, Zach, real quick, the Steelers' defense was on the field for 77 plays against the Eagles and then 62 more against the Ravens.
Oh, my
And that's
God.
in short rest, and now they're going to go into Kansas City on 5 days rest. And that's on the offense not being on the field long enough.
That's on the offense.
And they might be wearing down at this point. You might be right. I thought that was a great point. It's and we see this every year since Ben retired. The offense isn't good enough. They don't stay on the field long enough. The defense wears down at the end of the season. They're not as effective. And here we are again.
Those slow starts
might be the best of those three defenses.
Yeah. I was going to bring up they finally did what we talked about they should do. They actually had Wilson, Roberts, and Queen out there at times together. Problem was they couldn't do shit. They couldn't shed their block to save their life.
Wilson got washed a lot.
Wilson get washed. I was watching Roberts get ran over. Queen, I think, had like 8 total tackles, so he was productive. Still doing a couple of the going for the big hit thing instead of going for the tackle. But at least they did what we said they needed to do. But they got to produce, and they didn't. To Wilson's credit, though, I did love how when he'd get knocked down, he would get up and run down the field and help make the tackle. I love seeing the second effort by him. But the combination of the D-line and the off-ball linebackers failing to make those tackles, and then the secondary's failure to cover, just a two-way nightmare for us. Look, KZ had 7 solo tackles, guys. 7. Next closest was Queen with 4. That's really bad when your safety's got 7 solo tackles. He shouldn't have to make those many tackles. That right there in itself shows how bad, that front group with the off-ball linebackers just could not make the play. TJ Watt was not himself. I saw them bragging on Twitter about how great Rosengarten did against TJ, and it's like, dude, he's coming off a lower ankle injury. Right. I feel like he was not 100%. I think he was okay, but I didn't see the burst. I thought Highsmith, though, was a fucking force.
Monster.
Like, they started giving him the TJ treatment. They started chipping him and 2 blocks. I was like, oh, my God. Like, they're doing that to Highsmith. So that's the positive of the defense. In my opinion, was Alex Highsmith.
Yeah,
you guys
agree.
That's my positive, if you will, of the defense.
Yeah.
So let's switch over and talk a bit about this Kansas City game. So the Chiefs are coming into this game 14-1, compliments of the officiating of the NFL in many ways. They've won all of these close games. They've had all the lucky calls go their way. I have to say that I feel like if Kansas City is this 14-1 team that everything goes their way, the Steelers are like dark mode of Kansas City, where we get like the exact opposite. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everything is the opposite, is negative, and that's a really for me a really frustrating way to look at this game, and it makes me a little bit nervous about it. So what are you guys feeling about this game? Are you feeling like that we're equally matched up here? I mean, I recognize how good Kansas City is. I'm not knocking them, but they're already in a really good position. Are they going to be playing their starters? Bob, how are you feeling about this game?
I think a lot depends on who plays. Supposedly, a lot of these guys play at practice today, which honestly I don't love. I don't love the fact that these guys are suddenly healthy. If we held back for Kansas City, I don't get it. Why didn't we play them against Baltimore and sit everybody for the rest of the season? So, if we come out here and we're mostly healthy, and the rumor is Kansas City might sit people, I'll be very interested to see how the game goes. I think Kansas City has lived on borrowed time for weeks. I think it's going to come up and bite them, but I don't know that I want it to bite them this game. I mean, I want to win. I think we're going to win, but if I want Kansas City to have the truly terrible every break gets caught up, I want that in the playoffs. I don't want that in a regular season game because they have time to right the ship. Look, Hollywood Brown being back in that offense is a problem. Best case scenario, Dante Jackson plays, and it's leaning that way. Joey Porter ain't gonna play. So basically, we're still going to be down all our guys, and you're going to have speed merchants like Worthy and Hollywood Brown running around. And oh, by the way, we're not exactly great against tight ends, and some guy named Kelsey and his girlfriend are going to be at the game. So, who knows what's going to happen. But there is a path. Kansas City's defense is playing pretty well, but, there is a way. If Pickens is playing, there is a way for us to win this game, and I think we will.
I don't know. I watched a couple games quick today of the Chiefs, and I'm getting serious New England Patriots vibes from this team. They have a great coach, great quarterback. They've got continuity. They've been playing together for years. They get calls like the Patriots did. And they looked great against Houston. I watched the game this afternoon. They do a lot of things, a lot of screens, a lot of wheel routes, a lot of, draws. They got people moving all over the place. It's a tough team to play against. I don't think it's
very dynamic.
Yeah, I don't think it's as lucky as we think because the games have been close. I think they're bored, and I think they're just waiting for the playoffs to start. And I think they wait until second halves to play. This game's going to be tougher.
Teams.
Yeah, they are.
Tiger with the mouse.
Yeah, I firmly believe that they're just bored and waiting for the playoffs to start.
They've been bored all year, though. I mean,
that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying. This defense is great. They have a lot of good players on this defense, and that ankle sprain for Mahomes is complete bullshit. He was running around like he was a rookie.
Yeah.
Completely healthy. The Steelers have their hands full on a short rest, short time to prepare for an offense like the Chiefs. This is going to be a long day, I have a feeling, guys. I don't have a good feeling about this game at all.
Let me ask you a question.
Really well against them last year, though. He really did. Arguably his two best games in Denver.
Do you think that the Steelers possibly chose not to, back to Bob's point about not playing players and then possibly playing them against Kansas City, do you think the Steelers didn't play people against Baltimore to give them the time to fully rest, like so many were saying, and then thinking that we would still win that game without them? And then now we've lost that game and they're thinking, well, we're going to go ahead and play them against Kansas City because that's our path. We still got to try to win. Do you know what I mean? The AFC, and that's our path to win, is to beat Kansas City and then to beat the Bengals. So now we have to put forth this effort because we thought we'd beat Baltimore.
I think there's a lot of moving pieces here, and this is where having all of these games at the end of the season and Mike Tomlin not being used to being in a position where he's clinched the playoffs before and all of that, I don't know what the right answer is regarding sitting these players and having the three games in 10 days. You can't really do your normal planning about, okay, we need the recovery for the. So honestly, they're probably sitting there and they're picking the best of the worst options in front of them. And that's what we have. So none of the answers would make any of us happy because none of them are the right answers because the NFL fucked us over. I don't care what anyone says about, oh, they wanted to make it more competitive. The NFL fucked us over. We are very aware of that.
Well, I don't. Zach, just to interrupt real quick. I don't think it was just the Steelers though, because the Ravens and the Chiefs are in the same boat, and so are the Texans.
Yeah, there's 4 teams.
Yeah.
Ravens,
Not with the intensity of the games,
Houston,
though, that we ended up with.
I mean, that's a good point. These games have been brutal.
Yeah, the strength of it is definitely us. yeah,
and
the strength of it for sure.
It is important for me to bring this specific up. I have a eyewitness account. My brother-in-law Jake, a diehard Texan fan, is in town for the holidays, and I saw him today, and I wanted to ask him about playing the Chiefs. And he warned me. He's like, it is frustrating. He's like, I know people say it, and I know he's like, when you are cheering for the team that's going against them, he's like, you're going to be angry. He's like, you're going to be really angry, and there's going to be moments where you will not understand why. He's like, and that's what calls happen. So I know we don't want to say about the lucky and all that, but when you care about the team they're going up and you're not neutrally watching a game, he said it's different. So just prepare yourselves. There's going to be a lot of unfair situations. I mean, we've had unfair situations in general this season, but that I wanted to ask him about that specifically, and he made sure to tell me that it is that dangerous. So because he said they probably would have had a couple shots to win, but the refs make sure that doesn't happen. So the uphill battle in every single sense of the word. But I wanted to make sure eyewitness account from someone who has been on that battlefield.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to the original question before I talk about the whole, them resting players. So just observing the offense versus their offense and the defense and their defense, like they're actually fairly close to each other. Like it's not like they're better passing offense and we're the better running offense, and our defenses are pretty much ranked within 7 of each other as well. The one that's like really, really close is points per game. They are 23.7. We're 23.5. Because one of you brought up there were 4 teams that haven't scored 30 points yet. Bob, was that you? Somebody brought up.
Yeah, the Chiefs are one of 4 teams.
Dude, like when I looked this up, I went, what the hell? Like literally the Chiefs are like, I think 10th in points and we're 11th. And it's only 0.2 difference, guys, in what these teams average. Yes. That's why I do feel like because I paid $1,000 to go to this game. So I want to feel like I'm going to go to this game and we actually have a chance if, Pickens plays and Sean Elliott plays and hopefully Dante Jackson plays. Please give me one starting corner. Can we just get one to play? Yes. I know it's Dante Jackson. I understand, but just give me one starting corner and Deshaun Elliott and, hopefully Ogunjobi maybe can play and help with that run game. Maybe. I think we actually do have a chance. I think it might be just like a lot of these Chiefs games. It should be close. I think it'll be a close game because it's at home. It's for the Steelers.
Yeah. Good point.
It's got to be a massive effort by TJ and Alex.
Yeah, and to the other question. Sorry, Leanne, I know you asked a different question.
No, you're good. You're good. I want to hear it.
Also, I do think they rested these guys because they wanted to make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they were 100% healthy. I don't think they want to take that chance and let them play against Baltimore when they're not 100%. George Pickens is going nuts on the sidelines. He's like, oh my gosh, I want to go in so bad. And Tomlin has to pump those brakes because he knows if they rush that soft tissue injury just a tad bit early, they're smoked. Because he's going to go out there, go all out, and tear it completely or whatever. And guess what? They're screwed for the playoffs.
Especially against Baltimore, who are literally always trying to kill you.
Right. Yeah. Your most physical game of the year is against Baltimore, right? So why in the world would you take a guy that's so important, so integral to this offense? Why would you chance that? Same with Deshaun Elliott. He is so important to this defense. I now know this just by watching what happened to that secondary without him 2 games in a row, that there's no fucking way in hell Tomlin was going to risk it. He said, I'm going to make you endure a lot of pain because of the reward at the end. He made some kind of comment like that. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing here. But he made some kind of comment like that. You're going to endure some pain for a little while But at the end, at least we come out healthy for the playoffs. Does this suck? Yeah, it really sucks to go get your bell rung by Philadelphia, then the Ravens. Like, yeah, this is shitty. But in the end, if it makes these guys 100%, I can't argue.
I said the other day to somebody, like, we're in the playoffs, right? I understand seeding and all of those things that we care about, but I would rather the Steelers play a game on the road to start the playoffs, play away and have healthy players than play at home and have a bunch of guys that are injured or banged up or not able to play, because then we're just facing certain loss. You know what I mean? We're in the playoffs. It's early for us to be in. I agree. I think it sucks to lose these games, but God, I really want the shot at winning that playoff game, and we need those guys to be healthy.
Correct.
Has anyone else had that feeling that, and I forgot how nice it was to have the last week where I get to see previews for the NFL playoffs, and I sit there, I'm like, wait, we're a part of that, and I get normally when that comes up, I'm like, oh, don't talk about that. We have to win every game. How are we gonna do? And I stress them this. I'm like, oh no, we're already a part of that. Like, if every single thing from this moment to the end goes wrong, we're still in. They can't take that away from us. So it's preseason. Zach could be very happy right now. I know that.
Do you all think that Kansas City is going to play all of their starters, or do you think that they'll sit some?
The one seed's still available, right?
Yeah,
no,
the number one seed's still up.
They're the one seed with a 2-game lead.
And they want that
one
badly.
game.
They need Buffalo to lose in order for them to rest players.
Who
Buffalo's
does Buffalo play this week?
after the fact. That's what sucks.
Buffalo's
playing the Jets.
Yeah, Buffalo, and then they get the Patriots.
So they're winning.
And then they get the Patriots the following week. They're winning out. So Kansas City's got to play.
And it's also
Kansas City's going to have to play starters because
right. Exactly. Yeah, they're going to have
they aren't going to lose
because there's just no choice that they have. They got to still go for the 1 seed, unfortunately.
Well, remember they got the Broncos in the last game.
Yeah,
the Broncos.
Yeah.
If the Broncos lose to Cincinnati, the Broncos are playing for their playoff lives.
True.
Because then it boils down to if the Broncos lose and the Bengals win, then then Cincinnati makes the playoffs. I mean, Cincinnati needs a lot of help. Chargers finish with the Raiders, and I think they play another bad team this week. So the Chargers are probably going to win it, which we have to be careful of because, we almost have to root for the Broncos this week to beat the Bengals because we need that Cincinnati game to be meaningless.
Yeah.
It's not going to be meaningless.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice.
You are not wrong.
Yeah, we need them to not be playing for the, because if they lose, then they shouldn't be playing starters against us that week, I would hope. So
manifest that son of a bitch into existence.
That's right. Prayer circle. Dave, what do you see as the biggest matchup to kind of watch in this Kansas City game between the Steelers and the Chiefs, assuming, who we think is going to be playing this weekend or playing Wednesday, whatever day Christmas is, Wednesday?
I think somebody brought it up earlier. Kansas City's tackles are a little suspect. I think we need TJ and Highsmith to go off because the secondary is not going to hold up. So they both need to have their A++ games for the Steelers to win this. That's my only route to victory I see for the Steelers. They need to be dominant, and make it crazy for Mahomes, make him move around. And even then, the guy scrambles and rushes for 20 yards like it's nothing. But they need those guys plus Cam up the middle to keep Mahomes off balance all game long. And then maybe we have a chance. That's by far for me the keyest matchup in this whole game.
What about you, Zach?
Is Chris Jones? I know he was a little. Is his injury? Does anyone see anything about him not being available? Because if he's available, to me, that's what worries me. Because you got two rookies who might be, like you said, Dave, hitting that rookie wall, and some rookiness starting to come out late in the season. That's a guy who can take advantage of that, as natural as sneezing. And that worries me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm trying to look it up to see what he did.
Yeah, but that's all I see.
Because if Kansas City lies about that and he's hobbled and they just don't want to let us know, the other big one for me is, can our middle linebackers redeem themselves for the horrible run stopping job they did by stopping Kelsey? Kelsey is sneaky. I don't care how old he is, how stupid his hair looks, or whatever. He somehow does it all the time, and it makes me angry. And I would like to have him held to like one catch for 13 yards. That would be delightful.
Yeah, I got it here. Jawan Taylor was limited in practice for them. Shamari Connor, DJ Humphries, Chris Jones did not practice. So definitely some key players did not practice for them. Now, mind you, tomorrow they could, maybe they come back in this.
And Chris Jones, he could turn it around any time, but he hasn't had a great year.
Right. Correct. So for me, with this game, they have to get pressure on Mahomes. He's got 11 interceptions for this season. He makes a lot of throws where he just throws it, and so it doesn't work out well sometimes. So for me, get to Mahomes, put the pressure on him, and hope that he throws those, he just throws it up, and maybe one of our guys can get an interception, some turnovers. The turnover ratio is we're plus 17, they're plus 4. So they're a little bit better, but not as good as we've been. Just think about this, guys. The Ravens game, they fumbled the ball 3 fucking times, and we didn't recover any of them. If we recover one, we're tied with them in turnovers that game. But we didn't recover not one. So that's the thing about that game that I still shake my head about, is not recovering one damn fumble. But anyways, so it was kind of relative to the same thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are only plus 4 or plus 17, so we have to generate turnovers. And I think if we can get pressure on Mahomes, think about it. When the Ravens started doubling up Highsmith and TJ just wasn't having his A game, that's when they started killing us because our secondary couldn't cover to save their lives, and Lamar Jackson was getting enough time to throw the ball. That's what really happened.
And they're getting healthy. They got Hollywood Brown back. Worthy's starting to play really good now.
Hopkins is now in sync.
Yeah, they've got Hopkins and Juju.
But the good thing about this one is we don't have a giant back. So we've had 2 giant backs in a row to stop. Minka can go back and get back to being the quarterback for the secondary. We can have real communication in the secondary. We can have long balls actually taken away. So that's what I expect to see out of the secondary with Minka doing, because we don't need him against Pacheco.
Hi, dog mom.
Yeah. This.
We appreciate you joining. Sorry about the boss.
She works for me, so I'm the asshole boss that she's
Oh,
referring
you're
to.
the asshole. That's hysterical.
Bearded creeper.
Relic showed up just in time to get on my nerves with his Steelers lose by Steelers mistakes comment. That's it.
I mean,
he's kind of right.
They shoot themselves in the foot the last couple of weeks, big time.
They do. I agree.
Big time.
I agree.
Well, look, if we want to beat the Chiefs on defense here, call up Dick LeBeau, call up Dom Capers, call up Jerry Glanville for that matter. We're gonna have to play zone because we don't have Joey. So with Dante Jackson and our quarterback group, do what the Steelers used to do when we had weak secondaries. Send everybody at Mahomes. I know it's not the greatest strategy. He's good against the blitz, but it's a hell of a lot better than sitting back, rushing 4, dropping 7, and watching them just matriculate the ball down the field. A little Hank Stram for you. But at this point, send everybody. Send Mike Hilton. Send Mike Tomlin. Blitz, 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 blitz. And when you're done, you know what? Because even if they hit you for a 1-play drive and they go 80 yards, so what? Hold the ball for 5 minutes, go back down the field.
But you're not going to get that, especially if they're back and healthy. They're going to put Minka back in center field and play zone and rush 4. This is what the Steelers do now. It's not Blitzburg anymore. Not even close.
And the Chiefs are not like us where we got to wait till halftime.
Yeah,
to
it's
make
definitely
adjustments.
not.
They make adjustments.
That's a great point too.
They make adjustments on the go. Like that's the only problem with them.
Constantly.
They're gonna go. Oh, you want to blitz? Cool.
Why can't we do that?
I think
I don't
Arthur
understand
Smith
why
does
we
it.
can't do that.
You know, do you guys? Well, you don't remember. Dave remembers when we hired Arthur Smith. I was not happy. And now you see why we don't do that, Leanne. We don't do it like other teams because, well, who we hired. Okay, I'm done.
By the way, Relic, can we not upset the football gods? I understand that the Chiefs, with the 1-point score, that's a 2-time defending champion that's 14-1. Yeah, let's not call them
They're not frauds. They're bored.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
I'm not.
They're
Don't
not
let
frauds.
the
Actually-
officials see
Take
you
it
saying
easy.
that stuff because they'll just be like, "Oh, hold my beer and let us help them out
Actually,
again."
I don't know. The Bills handled them. The Bills really handled them.
Now,
We are
to
I think
Dave's-
there's some teams this season that have been really close. I think they're a really talented team. I'm not taking anything away from them. I think Mahomes is incredible, great coach, all of it.
dangerous.
But I think that they've shown some cracks in the armor this year and have shown some
Yes.
weaknesses. And,
Yeah.
it's going to be up to somebody to come in and exploit that and whether that'll happen or not. Do you all think the Steelers will win another game this year? I mean, lost 2 in a row. We talked last week about like the Steelers coming back and getting their revenge game and what happened the last time they lost. Now we lost again. Do we win again?
I
Yes.
think so.
Yes.
The problem is, I think it's only going to be one game, and that's going to frustrate me because we need 2. So that's just going to make me upset.
No, I think we beat Cincinnati at home. I think we beat Cincinnati.
The
Healthy.
game I
If
care
we're
about
healthy.
winning is on
Well,
January 12th.
If we're healthy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If we got
If Joey
right
Porter Jr. is
players
out,
playing.
yikes. I don't know.
Look, this-
We've talked about the Bengals are one of the scariest teams in the AFC. If they get
Really.
into the playoffs,
Right.
they're going to be a problem.
No, I understand, but at home we should do a lot better. I would like to think we do better against them. But hey, you're right. If there's no Joe Porter or one of those guys, yeah, it's curtains.
I don't think it's
Dangerous.
curtains. This is a great question, and I've heard it all over the radio today as well. Do they win another game? Yeah, I think we could win multiple games. I don't know how it works out, but yeah, I gotta keep the faith that it's going to happen. I will tell you this: I really thought this was going to be the year we break this streak, but every year since 2018, we've lost 3 games in a row during the season. This is we pushed it once where we won and broke that 2-game losing streak. We got to do it again because if it happens again, all bets are off. You cannot go 7 years in a row. I don't care who you're playing. And as great as it would be this, hey, it was injured. We played the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs. I get it. We can't make those excuses for the other 6 years. This cannot happen. Mike Tomlin has got to do what he's got to do to the point of tripping Patrick Mahomes and getting thrown out of the game. He cannot lose 3 games in a row another year. He just can't. And if he does, then I think we got to take a long look at the organization. We finished 10-8 and lose 4 in a row at the end of the season. We got to take a long look at what's going on.
This is a little different though. This year with this 3-game stretch, I mean, yeah, they
Yeah,
should have probably
one
won
would've
one of the
rated that.
3, but this is tough. This is as tough a stretch as I think they could have come up with the short rest.
Right.
And
It would be
Kansas City,
tough without-
Philly, and
That's-
Baltimore 3 weeks in a
yes.
row
That's
that's
the thing.
brutal.
Feels like it gets an
That's brutal.
asterisk to me.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not like
without
we're
the-
facing
with the-
Panthers, Raiders, and fucking the Falcons. Like,
Right.
Well,
it's-
but in a vacuum, yes, I would agree. In a vacuum, yes, of course you give him an asterisk. There's reasons for all of this. I get it. But the other 6 seasons, I mean, you got to start looking at it. 7 years in a row, and I don't think it's going to happen. I really think he's going to break the streak. I've said at the beginning of the year, I thought he was going to break this streak. I think it's going to break the streak. I hope he's going to break that streak.
I don't think he
Santa,
is, Bob.
let him break the streak.
I
I'll
hate to be
say this.
the downer.
I would rather have Mike Tomlin not only continue that streak, but lose 4 games in a row and then win a playoff game than win the next 2, break that streak, and then lose a playoff game.
Yeah, but I don't think
Because that's to me would be more playoff. You win a playoff game, no one cares about the streak. A lot is forgiven with a playoff win.
So
Yeah,
let's
think about what you
talk those predictions for this game. What are predictions for this game, Zach?
Oh no! Oh, good.
What
We're
you got?
starting with me. Fun. That's wonderful. Okay. Oh goodness, this is probably one of the hardest games to predict, and I have really thought about this because
The injuries make it really hard
Yep.
because I feel like I
And
need 3 different predictions.
Yep,
it-
you're right.
it's true, and I said this in the chat, and I will hold to it. Ever since I started understanding Steeler football, I've never gone into a game where I haven't truly believed we could win. It's just how I am. I genuinely I don't know what it's like going into a game expecting us to lose. I do not know what that's like.
Yeah.
So I'll say we'll win, but you know what? Let's go nice, old school, and simple. We'll win 21-14. That sounds nice, clean cut. We don't need Boz as much. It's because any score could be correct or wrong for this game. It's going to be a weird net. For all we know, we could not actually get to watch any of it because it's on Netflix.
Yeah. David, what about you?
The problem for me is definitely what you just said, Leanne. I don't know who's going to play or not. So with that reasoning, I'm going to go ahead, and if one of those secondary guys don't play, I'm going to go ahead and say the Steelers lose. I'm going to go 28-24 Chiefs.
Bob, what about you?
I think TJ and Alex harassed Highsmith last time they faced a quarterback with a bad ankle. Who knows how bad his ankle really is, but it was Justin Herbert, and they knocked him out of the game. I think there's a chance that Casey will look at this and start to go, especially if there's pressure early, to go, hey, is it really worth it to risk Mahomes for the playoffs? Big pressure early. Steelers, George Pickens is a full participant. If he's back, I feel good about the offense. Russell Wilson played his best games in Denver against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he is chomping at the bit to make up for the fumble and the interception. I feel like he put up 24 points with Denver's offense. I think he gets one more from Boz in this one. We win the game 27-23.
Okay, I'm going to be the reality guy here, I guess.
Hey,
Debbie Downer.
I picked the Chiefs to win. So
it's going to be worse than that, Dave.
Easy.
It's going to be worse than that.
Mr. Steelers win a game 28-10 a couple weeks back.
There are a few coaches in this world who roll out of bed and know how to coach the Steelers' pants off on defense. Bill Belichick was one, and Andy Reid is another one. You can blindfold him and poke one of his eyes out, kick one of his knees out, and he'll still outcoach the Steelers' defense. This is going to be bad, guys. I hate to break it to you. The Chiefs are getting healthy and hot at the worst possible time. They got Worthy, they got Hollywood Brown, they got Pacheco back. I'm going to say Chiefs 30-13. This is going to be ugly. Short rest, not healthy. Andy Reid versus
Zach, you okay?
the Austin Tomlin combination. Dave, bring a flask to the game. That's all I could say. Bring booze to the game. You're going to need it.
Zach's face, the facial expression, his face froze for a good 15 seconds. I thought the screen froze.
I did. I thought the screen froze too.
Yeah, I had to look real close to see if we
guys. I'm just telling you,
face like just frozen for us to look at.
Someone hold a mirror up to Zach. Is he breathing?
I didn't get the actual score.
I don't mean to do it to you, Zach.
What was?
I'm just trying to prepare you.
Zach blacked out and didn't hear you predict 30-13.
It's going to be bad.
So upset.
30-13. Oh goodness!
Dave, bring a flask and plenty of booze.
Mean Joe called you Mean Green called you a closet Chiefs fan.
Damn.
I'll tell you what. I would give my left leg to have Andy Reid as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you want to call me a closet Chiefs fan.
I want to like my coach. I don't like him. I'm going to go Relic, man. He's speaking to my heart. He said the defense for the Chiefs, defense folds to us. We score early and often. Watch, we'll beat them.
Which defense is he talking about?
In this game. I'm not quite as cocky and arrogant as Relic is, but I agree with everything. I agree with everything that David was saying earlier. I think that the vets get this team fired up. I think Cam Hayward is pissed. I think Russell Wilson is pissed. I think they're going to light a fire under these guys. I think that at least some of these guys we really need are going to be back in this game. I choose to believe so because I don't know. I can't do 4-score predictions. I think Pickens will be back. I think we'll see one of our corners back. And I think we're going to win the game 27-21. I think it'll be a little closer, but I think we pulled this one out. I think that this is the bounce back game we should have had against the Ravens, and it'll come this weekend. And I'm hoping it ushers in this new wave of success heading into the postseason as the Bengals lose.
Hey,
Mean
real
Green
quick,
is not
real
letting
quick.
it go. They said,
Yeah.
show it the true colors.
I'm
Take
catching
the
shots
black
from
and gold
Mean
off.
Green. Yeah.
Damn.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Goodness.
Pew pew.
Hey,
Shot fired.
He is from Massachusetts, Mean Green. So
Listen.
he's got to have that pessimism.
I'm gonna put my hex on the Chiefs, and I'm gonna make that my lock of the week, Bob.
No, don't do it.
Yeah, it hasn't been working lately,
you did
Dave.
it the last 2 weeks.
What the hell?
No, you're getting your locks of the
You're
week.
causing a losing streak here, buddy.
Yeah, you guys were enjoying your fun when you're taking advantage of how bad I was lock of the week. So guess what? It's my lock of the week, and you'll like it.
David, really quick. I don't know because you said if there's one or more of the secondary guys hurt, then Kansas City wins 28. What if the Steelers are healthy?
He's not getting to give more than one score.
No,
now.
I'm
We're
not
doing
I'm
all
not-
that crazy
no,
shit.
yeah,
I was
Put the score and
ready
stick with
in
it.
case.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Plus, does Jackson really do that much for you? Like, honestly, does he really do that much for you? He's going to change the score?
I'll put it this way. I think if Deshaun Elliott and Pickens play, we can win. I'll say that.
I agree.
But without making a prediction, I think if Deshaun Elliott and Pickens play, those are the two biggest pieces that we're missing. If those two play, I think we can win because it's a home game.
I think that's valid.
I hope you're right.
One thing to point out to the chat for those of you who followed the legendary picks, the guys in third and fourth place think we're going to lose.
Oh, shots fired. Fired.
Goodness.
However, David is on a roll with locks of the week, picking against the Steelers.
Hey, you guys liked it when it helped you, so I don't want to hear it.
One game it helped us. One game.
keep your eye on Chris Jones. Yet again, like I said, that if he does not play, that is a big.
Yeah, look, their left tackle. I think they said is already out. I thought is it their left tackle, Humphries?
That's the one hope. Like I said, the tackles are not very good.
Yeah, we have.
And T.J. Watt and Highsmith go off.
We got a puncher's chance if our guys play. We that secondary's in shambles. They got to have at least Elliott. They have Elliott. It gives me hope.
Okay.
Well, guys, if you have tuned in tonight and joined us, we really appreciate it. Appreciate you putting up with our slightly compressed show version format tonight to get ready for the Chiefs game on Wednesday. We hope that everybody is having a happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas if you celebrate. And whatever you do, just pray for the Steelers to win because that's what we all need to make the holidays a little bit brighter. It's the only gift I've asked Santa for. And we will be back later this week to talk about Hard Knocks later this week after the holiday. And also you guys will be back to do your legendary picks on. Are you doing those later this week?
Thursday. Yeah, after the live.
Right after that.
I guess we'll kind of combine the live show and the recap and the Hard Knocks together and then do legendary picks.
Yeah, so we'll be back for our usual Thursday show to do the recap of the game, and then they'll do their legendary picks for the rest of the weekend. And we look forward to seeing you all then. We hope you join us.
Wait 1 second. For the merch store, we do have a new shirt for this week.
Oh,
this is what it looks like.
Oh, nice.
Which is our which is going to be our permanent new logo, but we'll still have the fire logo too. Scan the QR code. I'll put the link in chat.
Where's the motto at? Where's that motto you had for the last shirt?
Amazingly enough, he retired.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he was one and done.
Do you have the T-shirt on right now?
I was gonna say,
I do.
Are you wearing the
Let's go. Let's see it.
There's the model.
There we go. My man.
I was trying to figure out what was being hinted at. I'm like, why are they not hinting at
My
something?
man was podcasting and modeling at the same time. That's skill, Bob. That's
which, by the way, if you guys want a cup with that logo instead of the fire logo, all you have to do is just email through the Blue Source and just tell her that you want her to make you a cup with that logo versus the other logo.
And we'll drop the link to that in the comment section of the YouTube video to make it a little bit easier for folks.
It's in there. And
is
the
it in
QR
there
code
already?
that Zach, and Zach made the QR code for us.
The QR code.
Oh, great.
Fancy.
Perfect. QR code up on the screen.
When
It is.
We appreciate you all. Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?
Merry Christmas! Dinner was full!
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.